Hey guys, what's up, and welcome to episode 16 of Fighting Illini, live on the Voice of College Football Network. Good stuff to talk about as always tonight. We have some injury news about Ty Rogers that we're going to lead off with some basketball content. Then we're going to talk about a Connecticut commit, Caden Bennett, a big commit for Illinois. And then we're going to do our third opponent preview in week 3, Western Michigan. If we have time, we'll talk about those NCAA rule changes that I mentioned last week that we didn't get to. I don't think we're going to get to it this time as well. Just to make sure that we fill the time, though, we've got that there. Might have some bonus content for you if we get through it all tonight. Of course, tonight's episode is brought to you on the Voice of College Football Network. Here is a word from our CEO, Mark Rogers.
You can make a difference here at the Voice of College Football. Use the Amazon link. Financially contribute to the Voice of College Football without spending a penny. Same shopping experience. It's easy. Go to any video on any channel. Go to the description section and grab the link right next to the capital letters that say Amazon. Use that link, and Amazon will instantaneously convert to your account, settings, history, everything intact. Just like whatever link you use right now, no difference. Pay no attention to the product that you see right there. Just go search what you want. Don't forget the Amazon link. Thank you for your support. Sincerely, the Voice of College Football.
All right. And as always, we've started our website recently. A lot of initiatives going around the network. What's up, Jackson Johnson? What is up, Fighting Illini Nation? Let's get into it today. Some good news to talk about later, but I usually like to take the bad news first. I don't know about you guys when there's good news, bad news. So the bad news, Ty Rogers will be out indefinitely, or rather is out indefinitely to start the 2025-26 basketball season. So for those of you who don't know, Rogers already missed the entirety of last season. He mysteriously redshirted right before the season started, even though he already had played 2 years. So there's a junior redshirt. It was kind of odd, too. It was very last second. It was very strange. The reasoning for that has kind of been debated, but it's pretty unlikely that he's going to play this year, too, based off this news that we got. This news certainly isn't great. I would hope he could come back towards the end of the season, maybe like 2026 range when we hit late winter. But honestly, we don't know. We have no idea. We don't have a ton of details on this. So he injured himself. This is according to Brad Underwood in his media availability on Monday. So the story wasn't broken. It was just revealed by Underwood to the media. Rogers was playing a pickup game in his hometown and injured himself. So we don't know the exact kind of injury. That was not revealed. That's not really Underwood's place to give that away anyway. He did, however, mention that it is going to require surgery and that there is no timetable for his return. That's very aggravating. He averaged before, of course, redshirting last year. So his last full season was 23-24. He averaged 6.2 points, 5.3 rebounds, 2 assists, and 0.4 blocks per game. So all very solid, very, nothing crazy, but definitely a very good all-around player. Was going to be a nice veteran presence with all these transfers, new recruits are bringing in this year, not really bringing back a lot of guys. So it really hurts to lose a guy like that, even if he was going to be coming off the bench. I really just have one major question from all of this, and it's why is he playing a pickup game in the first place? Why are we doing this when you are a athlete at a big school that is constantly in the national spotlight for basketball, especially in recent years? I don't understand why we're doing these things. If I were coach of one of these teams, I would not let my guys play in pickup games. It's not just Illinois. I'm not trying to call out Brad Underwood at all for this. This happens often. This reminds me of when, do you guys remember a couple of years ago when John Morant played in a pickup game I think it was in LA probably. And he like punched that 17-year-old and he almost caught a court case for it. Like that was completely unnecessary. There's just absolutely no need for that risk. Like I like that you're getting work in, you're enjoying yourself, but you don't need to be going that hard in a pickup game that you're going to get yourself hurt. Again, we don't know the details, so I'm not trying to call out Ty Rodgers or anyone in this, right? I don't know. He very well could have not been playing that hard. I just don't understand the risk. That's just really annoying. It'd be annoying too if he got hurt in a practice, obviously, but I feel like this just hits a little extra hard because it was not team activity. I mean, let me know how you feel about that. Like we definitely get like, especially in basketball, it's very prevalent, right? We get players in the NBA playing in like pro-am leagues too, not even pickup games. Like even LeBron played in a pro-am game like 2 years ago. So, I mean, they do it during the offseason. I don't understand why. Again, just unnecessary risk that these players are taking. But I'm not going to be too brash to make any judgments because we don't have the full details of this. It's just very disappointing, obviously. I mean, obviously, Roger didn't mean for this to happen. Nobody wanted this to happen, right? It is just a unfortunate accident that happened, even though I don't think he should be playing in a pickup game. You know, it's what happened, and it certainly wasn't his intent. So it's very unfortunate. And it sucks again because he already missed all of last season after a decent sophomore year. The reason for last year, I mean, there was no clear reason. It was kind of mysterious. He never said why. I'm pretty sure, though, that the reason is because he just saw the recruits Illinois was getting, right? Like all these freshmen that were instantly going to start over him, like Yak Jonas, like Will Riley, who are now going to be in the NBA draft coming up. So yeah, I mean, there's not really any more to say about that. Underwood said that he wasn't going to look to fill that position right away just to fill it. He's only going to look for someone to fill his position when he has a better timetable and if he feels that it's actually necessary. That was his quote. I'm not going to fill it just to fill it. And I think that's the best way to handle this situation right now. He could redshirt again, actually, for injury. But nothing's been determined yet. The season is still so far out, right? They don't even play till November. So it's just some unfortunate basketball news on the court. If more details are revealed, I will share that with you guys. That's all we know right now. Ty Rodgers is going to be out indefinitely, and it is questionable if he will play at all. He could play the entire season. We just don't have all the details right now because Underwood was very vague, as he should be as a coach, to protect his players. I think that is the right way to handle that. So let's move on to some good news. The number one player in the state of Connecticut, edge rusher Caden Bennett, has committed to Illinois. He announced that yesterday at noon via his X account. He did have a visit scheduled for Friday, the 20th. I guess he couldn't wait. So he has committed to Illinois. He is a 3/4-star recruit. It depends on what website you go to. 24/7 had him as a 3-star, but some other outlets have him as a 4. So definitely a very high upside 3 to lower side 4. Really good commit for Illinois. Really good to have that edge rusher as well and start bolstering up that defense. And he's, again, the number one player in Connecticut. He chose Illinois over Syracuse, Washington, and West Virginia. 24/7 also has him as the number 91 edge in the country. And he's 6'2", he's 245. His scouting report, I was able to find a bit of a scouting report on Sports Illustrated for him. So these are exact quotes from that Sports Illustrated article about his commitment, by the way. He is a little short for a lineman at 6'2", but he's got really good burst, lateral movement, sophisticated pass rush moves, and a knack for putting himself around the ball. So all very good things despite being undersized. I mean, obviously we expect that. He's the number one player in his state. Even if you're the number one player in Wyoming, it's very impressive. So very excited about that news. Caden Bennett. He's another class of 26 recruit. Man, I mean, that class of 2026 just keeps growing. What was the number I had on that last week? Because we were talking recruiting stuff last week. I think it was like the number 15 class in the nation is what I said last week. Yes, 15th in the nation. That is only after this commit. And Illinois is still very much in pursuit of a lot of other big commits. We are hitting a big recruiting season here. End of June, early July is pretty big so far for Illinois. They've been doing great. A few more commits on Caden Bennett's level. This could be a top 10 class without a doubt. This class just keeps growing. Bielema is really put a new spotlight on Illinois, right? It's just so cool to see these posts about recruits, seeing that Illinois is in their finalists with like SEC schools, like real big, like Big Ten schools, right? Like Ohio State, Penn State, things like that. Just really good to see Illinois get their time in the spotlight and seeing these recruits take interest in Illinois. And they've done a good job recruiting in state. But yeah, this is again a top player from a different state. So really glad that we can pull Caden Bennett is his name once again. Really glad that we can pull him out of the state of Connecticut. Again, the 4-star recruit. That is a big deal, no matter what school that is, especially for Illinois. But again, give it a few more years of this kind of recruiting from Bielema, and getting a 4-star at Illinois is not going to be nearly as big of a shock as it is right now. So that's the news on that. Next, we are going to move on to our opponent preview. So we're going to be talking some Western Michigan football today. That is the week 3 matchup for Illinois against those Broncos coming out of the MAC. They will play on September 13th at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern time. That game right now is supposed to be on FS1 locally. Their first game will be against Michigan State. Illinois is just one of 2 Big Ten opponents that they will be playing. So we'll have a better idea of how they stack up against Big Ten competition before they actually see Illinois. I know that Michigan State isn't quite on Illinois' level right now, but still it's a good gauge of talent for sure. So yeah, some past history between Western Michigan and Illinois. They have met 6 times. The Illini are 4-2 against Western Michigan, and 4-1 at home. Their last meeting was in 2016 on September 17th. Actually, Western Michigan won that game. They actually kicked the crap out of Illinois. They won 34-10. Those were still the dark days of Illinois football back then. But oh my gosh, I mean, if you're a recent fan who's just getting used to this kind of success, if that doesn't put it in perspective how far Brett Bielema has taken this program in a few short years, and that was 9 seasons ago. I mean, it's almost a decade. Still get blown out by Western Michigan at home, and there were so many dark years after that one as well. So some other meetings they've had, though, a lot more positive for the Illini. 2012 was their first meeting. Before that, Illinois won that one 24-7. 2011, they also met in Champaign. Illinois won 23-20. 2008, that is the only time Illinois has gone to play them. They didn't play them on campus, though. They played them in Detroit. And Western Michigan also won that one 23-17. Then you go back to 2004. Illinois won 30-27. And then one more meeting to find the first meeting between these two teams. You have to go all the way back to 1947, where Illinois won 60-14. That's freaking crazy. I mean, they barely scored points at all back in the day. You're telling me Illinois put up 60 in 1947? Holy, I mean, that's crazy. But so, yeah, overall, I mean, the past history, it's about what you'd expect. I mean, 4-2, I think it is a little surprising that Western Michigan has beaten them twice, especially just, again, that last meeting, even though it will be almost 9 years to the exact date since that meeting. I do remember that game pretty bad. Yeah, it was pretty bad. Again, 34-10. I mean, that's an absolute blowout. And that was at home. That was at Champaign as well. So Illinois is looking for revenge, even though it was so long ago. So some recent years at Western Michigan. In 2024, they went 6-7. They were 5-3 in the MAC, however. Their away record, since this game will be away, I'm going to give their away record as well for each of these past 5 seasons that we're going to look at. They were 2-5, so not very good on the road. And again, they were 5-3 in the MAC, so only one win outside of conference play anyway. Some notable games for them. They also played 2 Big Ten opponents last year. So they played Wisconsin in week 1. They lost that one 28-14. Week 2, they then played Ohio State 56-0. They got absolutely smacked. And then week 5, they lost at Marshall. These are just some key games. I'm not going to go through their entire schedule or we'd be here all night. Week 5, though, they lost at Marshall. That seemed like a pretty bad loss. They lost 27-20. Week 6, they won at Ball State 45-42. Certainly shows their scoring capability since they haven't really been showcased in any of these other games that I'm bringing up. And then week 11, they lost to NIU. I just bring up NIU. I brought up that Ball State game just because of that wild score. It definitely seemed like their most eventful game of the year. And then I bring up the week 11 loss against NIU just because NIU beat Notre Dame. So they were definitely the most popular team in the MAC, even if they didn't end up being the best. And then a bowl game as well. They did get to a bowl game at 6-6. They got to the IS4S Salute to Veterans Bowl. That is somewhere in Alabama. I can't remember exactly where. They lost that game to South Alabama, 30-23. So that's not a great loss in the bowl game as well. So that puts them at 6-7. 2023, then the year before, they were definitely worse. So last year was an improvement. They were 4-8 in 2023 and 3-5 in the MAC. Just 1-6 away record. Really rough. Some of the games I saw from that season of note, just some of the bigger opponents they played. They couldn't really touch any of them. They lost at Syracuse 48-7. They lost at Iowa then 41-10. They also played Mississippi State that year. So they 3 out of conference games against 3 Power 5 conference teams. They're Power 4 now. I got to get used to that. Lost at Mississippi State 41-28. They didn't make a bowl game, obviously. 2022, they were a little better than that. They were 5-7 and 4-4 in the MAC, 3-3 away. So pretty even season overall. They played Michigan State that year as well, like they're going to this year. They lost that 35-13. They also lost to Pitt. They played at home against Pitt, and they lost 34-13. Obviously, did not get into a bowl game that year either, with only 5 wins. So last 3 years, they've just been kind of like hovering around mediocrity. 2023 was their head coach's first year at Western. I'll get to that later. Before that, though, I mean, they did have some success, though, before these past 3 years. 2021, they actually went 8-5. Again, 4-4 in the MAC and 3-3 away. They played Michigan that year. They lost 47-14, but they did a home and away with Pitt. So this year they in 2021, they were at Pitt, and they actually won 44-41. So a really impressive victory for them then. And then they also played in the Quicken Lane Bowl. They beat Nevada 52-24. They smacked them. So that was a pretty good year for them in 2021. But again, not the same coaching staff of that either. 2020 and a weird, shortened season it was for the FCS and then the MAC and then some other conferences. They were 4-2 that year. That was all in the MAC. And then they were 2-1 in away games. They did start that year 4-0 actually, and then they lost their last two. But it didn't really matter. It was like a weird spring season. So now looking at their roster, starting off with the head coach, of course. Head coach is Lance Taylor. He's been the head coach there since 2023, as I just mentioned. He's got a 10-15 overall record in his first two seasons. He has a lot of good previous experience. So before he took that job at Western, he was the offensive coordinator at Louisville in 2022. Before that, then, he was a running back coach at Notre Dame 2019 through 2021. He has some NFL experience as well. He was Carolina Panthers wide receiver coach in 2017 and 18. And then before that, then he was the running back coach at Stanford. So he actually coached Christian McCaffrey there at Stanford. And didn't coach him with the Panthers as he's wide receivers coach, but as a running back coach, he helped produce Christian McCaffrey at Stanford. Before that, then he actually started his coaching career as an intern with the Jets in 2010, and then he was their quality control coach 2011, 2012. So he's got some NFL experience in there, right? He's got some offensive coordinator experience. He's got a lot of experience coaching the skill positions. He also was a wide receiver in his own playing career. He was a walk-on wide receiver at Alabama. That was from 1999 to 2002. He did that. And then he played in the AF2 league. That is the developmental league for arena football. I had no idea that they had that until I was researching Lance Taylor, because I don't really know anything about the man. But a very interesting career path. He's been all over the place. A good experience, both in the pros and at college. Has struggled a bit, however, to get this Western Michigan program off its feet with that 10-15 overall record with his first two seasons there in his first ever head coaching job. So obviously he's offensive minded because of the offensive coordinator job he had. Excuse me for that half yawn. And then all these skill position coaching jobs he had before. They didn't really score a ton of points in looking at their actual scores. I mean, the only time they really did have a score that kind of, pops out was that 45-42 win against Ball State. So it seems like he has certainly struggled to get that offense going as well. And I think it's only going to be harder for him to do that actually going into 2025, because they kind of have a rough QB situation right now. They have 5 QBs on their roster. I found their spring roster the other night. Not only one of them has ever appeared in a game before. The other 4 have never been in a game, even if they have some experience sitting on the sidelines. So he'd be my guess at a starter. I really couldn't find too much information about them, a little more than what was available for Western Michigan, but I couldn't find any spring reports, confirming who's going to start at quarterback. I couldn't really find anything like that for them. So my guess is this guy, Brock Lowry. He played in 4 games while redshirting at Indiana last year. He only attempted 8 passes. He completed 4 of them for 21 yards. So my guess is he'd be the starter just because he's the only one with experience, but he literally threw 8 passes, but that's 8 more than anyone else on this roster. I really don't know. The only other options at quarterback I could see starting by that point, week 3. The oldest guy they have is a guy named Mark Konechny. And he was literally, it says he was a member of the scout team last year. So I don't know if he's a viable option. There's just another junior besides Konechny. Dang, that's a tough name. His name's Brady Jones. maybe he gets in there. But again, he's also never appeared in a game. I would think that the Indiana guy with the kind of year Indiana had last year would be the one they go with. Even though he barely has any experience, he's got that experience and he's played at a major university like that. So I would think he would be probably the most talented as well. That's my guess at quarterback, but I don't think any of those options are really outstanding. They're definitely still going to be figuring it out too by the time they meet Illinois in week 3. And yeah, the Illinois that's not a secondary. That's not a pass rush you want to face when you're still trying to figure your stuff out. Their best player, though, this is really the only player that is like eye-popping to me. All their other like star players are gone from last year pretty much. But running back Jalen Buckley, he is certainly going to be a threat. 2024, he appeared in 10 games. He had 683 yards, 9 touchdowns. That's a 5.3 average. That's very good. 15 receptions as well for 112 yards. He actually played at Batavia High School out in the Chicago suburbs. So he's an Illinois guy. And his brother Jordan is actually a defensive end on the team, Jordan Buckley. He's on Western Michigan with him as well. So he's definitely the standout player on this roster. Outside of him, though, I couldn't really find anyone else that like super worries me. That in itself is worrying, honestly. Because at least on Western, I could point to a few players that I was like, Western Illinois. I can't say Western because I'm talking about another Western. But even with Western Illinois, honestly, I was able to find more information about their team, and find out some stuff at least about some of their skill players, some of the good players they've had on the defensive end. This team, it was really hard to do that. The AI overview I got from Google when I first went with an initial search. Obviously, I didn't stop there, but that's where I start. The AI overview mentioned Jalen Buckley. All the other players it mentioned were gone. And looking at their roster, I couldn't really find one player whose stat line really like popped to me besides his. So he's very talented. That'll definitely be a nice test for the front seven early on. But overall, outside of Western Illinois, right, this is on paper, this is definitely the next easiest game for Illinois. It's almost kind of I don't want to say trap game, just because I don't really see how it could be a trap game, right? Surrounding the Indiana game. I'm thinking more the week after the Indiana game against Stanford is that trap game, which I'll get to. But this is the one before it. Certainly has trap game potential. I just don't really see it here. Just like Western Illinois, I just don't truly see any other threat, really. I mean, their defense is definitely not up to par to be able to handle Illinois' offense from the research I was able to do on them. So, like I had it, I'm again revisiting this schedule. I had this as a win initially. I have this as a win now. I have Illinois starting out 3-0 going into that Indiana game, which is what I will be talking about next week. We'll be talking Indiana in the position. Sorry, I keep saying the position group preview in the opponent preview. So that does it for this week's episode. Again, like I mentioned, next week, same time as always. We're going to be having our probably the biggest opponent preview of the year, talking about that Indiana game week 5. That probably could take up the whole episode if we wanted to. We'll also be looking at some NBA draft stuff see how Jakob Jonas and Will Riley are going to do in the NBA draft. Also, next Thursday, I do want to promote. So the day after the show, 12:45 Central Time, I will be doing a live react on a live stream to the commitment of Max Suter. He is one of the top tight end recruits in the country, and he'll be announcing his commitment at 1 p.m., so just a little before that at 12:45 Central, 1:45 Eastern. I will be joining the hosts of our Alabama, Ohio State, and Ole Miss channels. So those are the other 3 finalists for him. So would love to see Illinois' tight end game go to the next level, right? They haven't really had too strong of a tight end game since Brett Bielema has been around. That's kind of the one skill position he hasn't really gotten around to overhauling. And Max Suter for the class of 26 is definitely a possibility. He is from Illinois. He is from Dunlap. So check out that live react next Thursday. Tune into the show the night before. As always, thank you for watching tonight, guys. ILL.